He was working there since about 3 months now.
Okay.
Did you say anything to anybody? I talked to people in Los Osos, and they're surprised what's going on.
I haven't talked to him.
Tell one thing, you're looking very closely to be before the federal grand jury or Pamela Harris, which is Attorney General, California Attorney General, for your actions with him.
Okay. Thank you, Richard. Any other public comments?
Yeah, I guess. Isn't anyone else going to say something? Yeah. Yell at weed. You know, I would suggest every one of you directors tonight go home, turn on your computer, and go to Los Osos CSD and see that Kampa's doing the same thing to them that he's doing to us down here. But you have the advantage of hindsight to see what has already happened to our finances. You have the hindsight to see how he's already restructured and taken more control. And the fact that you directors haven't been reading this correspondence from government officials about our district is very disconcerting to me. Because you are the folks I want to have the information, not him telling you, oh, well, this is what it is. This is what it means. This is what we're going to do. No. It's the other way around. It's you folks representing these folks telling him what to do. And that's not what's happening. And Los Osos is finding that out right now. I would suggest you get on their website. It's real easy. You don't even have to read. You just hit their audio, you can listen to their whole meeting. There's a lot of unhappy people there already. And he hasn't been there as long as he has here.
I'd like the board to make comparisons between a regular general manager and your own crew and what you pay Pete and what you pay for his crew. I think he's costing you a lot more than what you can do it yourself. You'd have to work a little harder. You'd have to stand up and fight what you want, or what we want. But make the comparison first before you sign any contract.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
I just have a question. You're talking about this letter that he has. Did you ever receive that letter at all?
Which letter, Carolyn?
The one,
USDA.
the USDA. Did you ever receive it yourself?
No, I haven't received it.
Then
No.
how can you read it?
Yeah.
See, I was wondering, that wasn't brought up.
Can Cindy get it?
It's
If I
correspondence.
could speak to
and
that, I don't even know if they were aware. I wasn't even aware that there was correspondence from the USDA or when that came in.
Well,
So it could have been 2 days, it could have been a week.
Well, I think, to get a grant, there's an application process that we have to go through and all that. So all of that goes through, I think we hired and I can't remember the name, I want to say Kennedy and Jinx to help us with the grant application because they are, complex, and there's a lot of areas you have to jump through. And then when you put on top of that the governmental aspect codes that you have to jump through all the hoops. And that's one of the things that we've been struggling with for the last several months to get that USDA grant because they kept changing the rules. He had to keep jumping through hoops and going back and so on and so forth. And I think 3 or 4 months ago, maybe even 6 months ago, when it wasn't looking real good, we said, wow, we're committed to the wells because we made the contracts to get the wells, we needed the water and so on and so forth. If need be, that's $500,000 out of our pocket. And we were all, because that's what we're getting. We're getting $500,000 from the USDA grant.
Maybe.
Well, it's
You don't know what that letter had a negative context.
so.
It could already said you failed. And he
I think you
can
need
tell
to
you
get a
that.
copy of that letter.
So, look, if we can, I appreciate
Why
the
don't you get a
question.
copy and read it?
So, well, we can. But right now, I'd like to keep going on with this meeting. I think, we can come back and do what we have to do. So,
The rules are you guys have access to that, and if you want to see these kind of documents, you have to come and request them from Cindy, and you can see these things.
Cindy, they were always included in the board packet. Nobody ever had to ask for that. That was district correspondence, and it was routinely included.
well, but
And then it disappears when Kampa gets here. I'm sorry.
Last one.
and I'm not trying to put one side against the other, but we got to keep in mind this district has never received a grant before either. So,
Oh, yes, they have.
and there was a lot of skepticism in the audience there's a lot of skepticism that we wouldn't ever get any money, and we have. So, to me, we've got some. It's better than nothing. Let's be,
You guys really aren't doing your job if you don't read this correspondence.
Okay, let's get back to the business. I'm going to call Ruth, and then I'm going to close it. I'm sorry, Merlin, I'll get you next. Ruth had her hand up first.
Yeah, I just want to say, how can you be transparent to us if you don't know what he's doing? I mean, I'm not trying to be facetious, but the letters that he gets, you should get copies of it so that you can relay that to us. And it should be in your board packets. I mean, that's just what a board does, is they see all the communication, not just one person.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, this is just a recommendation. As the county supervisor, there has been all of our department heads, which gets paid a sum of money. They all work at the will of the board. Now, there's been one that came and wanted a contract. Now, I have not read his contract, so I'm not even going to go into that. One came and wanted a contract. I fought hard not to give a contract. If a person is working at the will of this board, they'll have a tendency to listen to the board better, listen to the public better, and in my opinion, do a better job. Just like a department head in Mariposa County. Now, that's only my opinion, and that's a reference to Mariposa County, but it has worked very well there. Departments have a tendency, if a private citizen or a board member, if you ask the department head a question, they'll give you a direct question because they know you're a vote that can remove them. And it takes 3 votes and they're out. And that can happen at a day's notice. So that's my recommendation. It's not worth anything, so throw it out the window if you want it.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
My name is Carlos Santos. I'm not being here in the water district, the situation we're in, based on financial, water shortage, and looks like, in my opinion, it's pretty bad management. Because financially, any company goes down the drain because it's mismanaged by contracts, by whatever it is. As the board directors, it's your responsibility to make sure it doesn't fall in that category. That's what I think. Now you drill wells to compensate for the water. Now we got problems out there. We got grass that is 3 feet high. So if we have a fire, where are you going to get the water from? I hope we don't. So are we working with the fire department, with the community? Who's going to take care of that? Where are you going to get the water? So that's an added expense. It's up to the directors to manage. Not the manager. The manager is the easy way out.
Thank you. Okay. We have a motion. We have a second.
So the motion is to simply change his title,
To
keep with the
GM,
remaining, the existing contract,
yes, and form a committee.
form a committee to review the possibilities of moving forward with the form contract. I just want to make sure I got
Yeah,
that.
that's what the motion is.
And we'll continue to operate under the existing contract. and-
Correct, it's already in place.
So you're dropping it today?
Pardon me?
You're dropping the interim today?
If we get the vote. If we get-
Okay.
So we'll call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
I'm going to say no.
Okay.
I don't see the cost.
3 to 1.
3 to 1, and we have 1 absentee, which was Mr. Ross.
Good for you.
So it does pass.
Say goodbye in November.
What?
Say goodbye in November.
Can we take a break so I can go get him?
Yeah.
But prior to doing that, do you want to select a committee for the ad hoc committee now?
Yeah.
Or,
Yeah.
okay, and we don't need a vote on it, we just need you to select who you want on that committee to review.
Okay, we're gonna take a break while Cindy goes. Go ahead, Ruth, will this be off the record?
Is there anything in his contract that says when you drop the interim and make him manager, that his wages are gonna go up?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. We're gonna operate under the existing contract in place, continue to pay him the same fees that we paid him since he came on board in October. So there's no change in cost to the district.
Who evaluates his progress? Who evaluates his progress based on what he's doing?
He works for the
Okay,
board.
So, do you have a specific time that you're gonna evaluate him on the basis of 3 months, 4 months, 6 months?
We have been doing it, I'll say, on an ongoing basis, because as a board, when we came, we've been together, some of us, well, Emery and I have been here, I'll say 3.5 years. How long, 2 years?
A year and a half.
How many months? 3 or 4 months? How many months? Okay, so not a lot of stability, and I'm not saying that in a negative, but the district had a meter reading system that was put into place many years ago that you guys paid for, that prior boards never implemented or activated or whatever. It is now activated, it is now working. We're now saving labor dollars. These meters that Pete talked about earlier have been here for years. There's not been a maintenance plan in place. We're working on getting that in place. We're looking at getting a capital improvement plan in place. We have a dashboard of things that we ask him to accomplish that have due dates and so on and so forth to try to position this district for stability and forward thinking for the next 5 years. That hasn't been here for a long time. And I'm not criticizing other boards, because I was on the board for 3.5 years and we didn't get it accomplished until the last 1.5 years. Prior boards, this district was, from what I understand, historically almost bankrupt. And that's why our rates jumped substantially. So we're trying to look at that. Yes, we have spent money to, and whether you like the wells or not, I'm not going to argue the point with you. It is what it is. We thought that was the best thing for this community. If the community is unhappy with that, and we didn't see a lot of options. We went to Lake Don Pedro to try to get water out of Lake Don Pedro. We looked at putting in another treatment plant over at El Prado Park. We looked at a lot of options. The other thing we were up against was time. We didn't have a lot of time to make this happen. Yes, the MID and the government gave us a waiver because they're in our contract with MID. It says once that lake level reaches 115,000 acre feet, they cut us off. They let us go down below that substantially. But then as of December, they said, new game.
Did you ask for another waiver?
They said no.
Did you ask for one?
I can't say that for sure.
Okay.
But they said we are cutting you off. We got a letter of intent before. We fought it before.
Yeah, but it worked before.
This happens every 15 years.
But it was discussed, and it turns out that there was going to be a couple $100,000
an associated cost.
legal fees just to start.
This is just, we're on break. This is just general This is just general dialogue. This is not, you might want to say, if you can't hear me, this is general dialogue. This is not part of the meeting. So.
You want to.
Cindy, I'd like an answer on my question today, please.
We're on
What
break.
was that?
We're on break.
Which question was that?
If it was advertised?
Oh, okay.
No, it wasn't.
So we looked at our options of what can we do to maintain water or supply water to the community. We looked at trucking and what was it called?